Okay, so I've had a couple of people reach out to me and ask me what symptoms I had why I chose to isolate and um, also why I chose to do it without being tested and all the rest of it. Because to me, quite frankly, it made no difference, right? I had a severe cough, I had shortness of breath, I had temperature, I had fever. And I had really bad aches and pains. Now, in my mind, I don't have COVID. I never had COVID. Okay. But I didn't want to be in that position and then get something on top of that, like COVID, right? So it's about self preservation as well. Secondly, it's about, well, if I do get tested and I'm positive, is that really going to change any of my behaviors right now? No, because I would have still chosen to self isolate because I wouldn't want my mum to get either COVID from me or a flu in this current climate. Okay, or anybody else's mum, actually, or anybody else's relatives. So it was more about the fact that, well, what's the most sensible thing to do right now? The NHS is under so much pressure. That is the right thing for me right now to put further pressure when I'm not struggling to breathe, when I'm still okay, and insist on a test. And alhamdulillah, this is day 18. I've been out today because I'm doing some volunteering, and it's the first day I went out. And I'm feeling, 90% better than what I was before. Symptoms that people asked me to talk about were it was just coming and going, shortness of breath, coughing, very itchy eyes. But it wasn't like hay fever. It was really different. It just felt like something else, and I've read a few people have had that. So again, right now there's lots of stuff going around. You don't know what it is, but the fact is that you need to be more cautious because if you have only got a cold or flu, you or anybody you give that to is not going to be able to fight COVID in exactly the same way that they would be if their immune system was strong enough to only and fighting one. Okay, so the other thing that people are messaging me about is families, and I've got a lot of people saying I'm going to kill somebody. Listen, it's not an option. Still illegal. I know these are tough circumstances, but murder is still highly illegal. As far as I know, I don't know if they've actually announced something that I don't know about, but I'm pretty sure murder's still not allowed. However, I appreciate that these are incredibly testing times. And that's because if we're living with people, including ourselves, we're all flawed, okay? But if we're living with them constantly, we have no escape from those flaws. Okay. And yeah, normally I don't do my scarf like this. I'm just having like it was just quick and easy and I needed to pray, okay, people, but I also needed to get this video done. So yeah, so if you're in close proximity to people, then you have no escape from each other's flaws. Okay. You are probably just as annoying, you are probably just as selfish, and yes, there are definitely some exceptions to this, but you are flawed as well. So you need to remember that actually this is a circumstance that we're in. We've all been thrown together in tight spaces where we're finding it difficult to put up with each other. And one of my friends was telling me earlier that her husband, she'd asked him to put the dishwasher on, and he just decided to put the dishes in the sink. We just have to be that little bit more considerate, okay, of one another. I'd asked one of my brothers to hoover, didn't bother. And then didn't come back to do it, and one of us had to do it anyway. It's that expectation, okay, that others are there to run around you. That's not okay. Be a bit more considerate. And likewise, it's that kind of don't wait for somebody else to get something done. So get it done yourselves. Make sure you are finding your own space. So like I mentioned that my little work spot is there in my house. So that's where I will hide away to. Well, it's in the middle of the corridor. So actually, I'm not doing the hiding very well, but it's still my kind of space, and that will make a massive difference to you. And the other thing that you could do is practice the 77 excuses. Okay, it's a narration that I've heard about where when somebody does something which you don't like, when somebody sort of like tests you or tests your patience, then simply, guys, start making excuses. And I don't mean excuses like, oh, but they're an idiot. That's not an excuse. It could be, oh, they didn't understand, oh, they thought they'd do it later, or they didn't come back to it, or I'm sure they would have done it, they just didn't get it done when I wanted it done. And that helps you start to understand your role in this situation as well as that person's role. And sometimes it's very helpful to rationalize in these situations because, like I said, we don't have that many escapes from each other. Also, one of the things I'm doing to help pass the time is the online courses that I've spoken to you guys about, but also picking up reading again. Okay, I used to read. I was an absolute bookworm growing up, so it's been really nice to have that time, and then rediscovering all the art stuff. The other thing you can do, especially when you're becoming agitated and you're stuck, and this actually helps with sleeping. I know a few people have said to me that they're struggling with sleep. So visualization, okay, and breathing techniques. So you just breathe in to 4, okay, to the count of 4. So it's 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Hold that for a second, or 4, and then as long as you can, and then breathe out for the count of 8. Hold that for as long as you can, up to 4 seconds, and then again breathe in. Okay, so it's about taking care of yourself in that sense. And the final thing you can do is visualization. Oh, and this is beautiful when you do it with your duas as well. That's my house phone. One sec. Okay, so visualizations, especially when you do it in bed, this is actually, you can go into really, really minute detail. The more minute detail you go into with your visualizations, I don't mean the guided visualizations because I appreciate not everybody can do them, but it's about manifesting what you actually really desire. So if you've heard about the law of attraction, a lot of the time they say visualize. It's the same with du'as, okay? Now, before you go to sleep, before you go to bed, du'as are prayers. So if you pray with your person of faith and you want to manifest your prayers, and visualization is one of the best things you can do, okay? So I'm talking about the smells, I'm talking about the sights, I'm talking about imagine touching, imagine, everything. So if I'm imagining for myself, so my dream, my ultimate dream, everybody knows, is to live in the middle of somewhere without loads of people. I quite like the idea of being quite isolated, and sort of like socially isolated, should we say, not completely alone. But like being amongst nature. So I would then visualize the color of the sky, the birds in the trees, the sounds of the birds, the leaves, the rustling of the leaves, maybe the colors in the trees, the flowers around me, the grass, the earth, the wetness, the sort of like coolness under my feet if I'm barefoot, which usually in my visualizations I am. So this one's gone on a little bit longer, but what I'm saying is it would be absolutely great if you give each other some space, some consideration, and also use this time to visualize and manifest. It's actually the perfect time to do it. Okay.